What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Kicking It with Crowder, episode 19, season 2. Just want to get in, play some music real quick, let some people join the conversation, guys, and then we'll get going, all right? So, hey, thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. Be sure to let me know if you joined in on the conversation. Comment down below, like, share, all that good stuff. All right, guys, let's go. How you doing tonight, brother? Got a lot to talk about tonight. So, of course, we'll preview the AFC and NFC matchups this weekend with the Bills versus the Chiefs and the Packers versus the Bucks. So, two rematches that happened earlier on in the season. I think we may see a little bit of different outcomes this weekend. Of course, Patrick Mahomes is kind of questionable right now with a concussion. So, we'll talk about that. What, if he doesn't play, what may happen with those games. So, we'll talk about all that, guys, tonight on Kicking It with Crowder. So thank y'all so much for joining the conversation. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to like down below. And we'll get started. All right, guys? Let's go. You guys doing all right tonight? All right. So, guys. All right. So, like I said, episode 19 of Kicking It with Crowder, guys. Thank y'all so much for all the support this season. But we'll go ahead and get started here in 3, 2, 1. And welcome, everybody, to Kicking It with Crowder. I knew something didn't feel right. Here we go. Wait up. There we go. Now I can hear myself talk. There we go. All right. Kicking It with Crowder begins in 3, 2, 1. And welcome, everybody, to Kicking It with Crowder, episode 19 of this season, guys. Thank y'all for joining me tonight. We are down to 4 teams in the NFL. So the Packers, Bucks in the NFC, and we also have the Chiefs and the Bills in the AFC. We'll preview both of those games tonight and go ahead and make my Super Bowl prediction, which teams will move on from the AFC, NFC. So I'll give you my Super Bowl pick a little bit later in the show. Also, we'll talk about Mahomes. He's injured right now, so I'm not sure his status coming in this game. I would think that he's going to try to play in this really, really important game, especially for the Chiefs, who are trying to repeat as the first Super Bowl champions to repeat since the Patriots did it in the early 2000s. So this is definitely going to be a good matchup with the Bills. The Bills and Chiefs matched up earlier in the season, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a really nice game, over 160 yards. Mahomes did not throw it much, so there's a lot of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So Le'Veon Bell, get ready to toke that rock this weekend versus the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to turn my fan on real quick. It's hot in my room. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Ooh, it's getting hot in my room. All right, so game time decision, Pat Mahomes. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. In the NFL, the Atlanta Falcons, guys, have found their men in GM Terry Fontenot and head coach Arthur Smith. So, new era coming to the Atlanta Falcons. And as an Atlanta Falcons fan, I am very excited about this new direction we seem to be heading. Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith seem to be on the same page. I've liked their introductory press conferences so far. I really like the man that Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith is, not only as a coach or a GM, as just a man. I like the way they're talking. I like the way they speak. Good interviews by both guys. I'm not sure if y'all got to catch those, so definitely check those out. Terry Fontenot comes from the New Orleans Saints, spending the last 17 years working his way up the ranks with the New Orleans Saints. Started as an intern in the marketing department and has been the director of pro scouting the last 6 years for the New Orleans Saints. So he had a prominent role with them. Thanked Mickey Loomis, thanked all the guys that helped him rise up the ranks with the New Orleans Saints, but now he is no longer with the New Orleans Saints. He's with the Atlanta Falcons, and I'm excited to see what he brings, what kind of philosophies he brings. He already talked about in the draft, they're going to pick the best player available, and that's refreshing to hear. I don't know why that's not everyone's draft strategy. Hey, draft the best player available, but Arthur Smith, he comes from the Tennessee Titans, spent the last 7 or 8 years with the Tennessee Titans, was a defensive quality control coach, then an offensive quality control coach. So he shot right up the ranks the last 8 years or so, and he's going to be the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons at 38 years old. So the Tennessee Titans, they had a great offense the last 2 years with Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry. Matt Ryan and Julio Jones look like they're going to be staying with the Atlanta Falcons just from everything I've been seeing and reading, especially in 2021. After that, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but great hire by Arthur Blank. Took his time, picked the right guys. Obviously, Terry and Arthur, they're going to be on the same page as the head coach and the GM, so it's good to know that those two kind of are on the same page as well. That I'm excited for the future of the franchise, a new direction. Thomas Dimitroff and Dan Quinn are out. Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot are in. So I'll talk about what this means for the future and also give you the latest on the openings that have been filled and also what jobs openings are still available and the favorites for those jobs. So stick around for that. Also, guys, college football. We'll talk a little bit of college football where Tennessee has kind of a mess on their hands right now. Head coach Jeremy Pruitt let go with cause this past Tuesday, so he was fired. We'll see who they bring in. Kevin Steele is now their interim head coach. Of course, the former defensive coordinator for the Auburn Tigers is now going to kind of be at the helm in Knoxville. So we'll give you the latest on all those things as well. Like always, guys, thank y'all so much for joining me tonight. We'll have my conference picks. Also against the spread. Went 4-0 last week on my NFL straight up picks and against the spread. So had a great week, improving to 51-47-2 on the season. So we'll get into all that. Don't forget to comment, guys. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to share down below. You can also find me on Apple. I'm on Spotify, the iHeartRadio app, YouTube, and Twitter, guys, at Kick It With Crow. You can find me on Twitter every day. Guys, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, let's go. First, with the NFL, Packers versus Broncos. Packers versus Buccaneers. Rodgers versus Brady. I think this is exactly what the NFL wanted. They wanted either Brady or Breeze versus Rodgers in the NFC Championship, and that's what you're going to get. A rematch from earlier in the season, guys, where the Bucs really jumped on the Green Bay Packers 38-3. Aaron Rodgers, of course, had a pick six in that game. Also had another interception that was returned to the 2-yard line. So it was not a very good game by the Green Bay Packers. I think it was 38-10 in that game, and it was 10-0, and then the Buccaneers kind of outscored the Green Bay Packers the rest of the way, 38 points the rest of the way. So by far the worst game for the Green Bay Packers that they had all season. Not only did the offense not play very well, only have 10 points, the defense gave up the most points they've had all season as well. So what the matchup for me in this game is that Buccaneers D-line and front seven versus this Packers offensive line. Of course, Bakhtiari, the great left tackle for the Green Bay Packers, he is going to be sitting out this game with the torn ACL. He's out, missed the last few weeks for the Packers. But can Rodgers get back to another Super Bowl? He definitely wants to add another Lombardi trophy to his resume right now, only having one Super Bowl. Guys like Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, and these guys like that, they have 2 to 3 championships. Ben Roethlisberger has 2. So I think Aaron Rodgers, if he wants to solidify his top 5 status as an NFL quarterback of all time, I think he's definitely got to get to another Super Bowl, if not hoist another Lombardi trophy. So I really like Aaron Rodgers, going into this game, kind of throwing away that 38-10 loss earlier in the season, trying to move forward. I heard him on Pat McAfee show this week, basically saying that, the 38-10 loss to the Buccaneers is like the Buccaneers' big loss to the New Orleans Saints earlier in the season, where, hey, it doesn't matter much, heading into this game, so we'll see what happens. I really like the Packers in this game. Matt LaFleur is going to call a good game. Aaron Rodgers is going to go out there and play ball with these receivers. Devontae Adams just on another level right now. Alan Lazard getting back from his injury. Valdez Scantling, Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams. I mean, this is a very good, very potent offense for the Green Bay Packers. If they can just, control the game, run the football, and really get Tampa Bay off balance, I think that they're going to control this football game. I'm going the Packers 31-23 over the Buccaneers. That's my pick. In the NFC, I think that the Packers are the best team in the NFC. They've been the best team in the NFC the entire year. They did have the hiccup, of course, versus Tampa Bay earlier in the season, but I think that this Packers team is hitting on all cylinders right now. The defense, of course, led by Jair Alexander, the great cornerback from Louisville, and then also they have some other guys, Kenny Clark up front, and Amos in the back, and also Savage, Dontrell Savage. I mean, they have a lot of good pieces on that defense. So if they can just, keep the pressure, get after Tom Brady. That's the one thing that Tom Brady doesn't like is pressure, getting hit a lot, forcing him to get rid of the ball before he wants to. As long as Green Bay is able to do that, Aaron Rodgers is able to control this game. Matt LaFleur calls a good game plan. I'm going Packers 31-23 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Aaron Rodgers gets back to another Super Bowl. In the AFC, guys, a real interesting matchup with the Chiefs, Bills. I think the top 2 teams in the AFC, Mahomes and them, they're hot right now. I think they've won 11 in a row, 10 or 11 in a row, something like that. Going against Josh Allen. Josh Allen, of course, for the Buffalo Bills has had a nice season, but 2-0 in these playoffs. Of course, lost last year to the Texans in a really close matchup. What's up, Jamie? Thanks for watching, brother. Josh Allen versus the Kansas City Chiefs and Mahomes versus Allen. This is the matchup that everyone wanted to see, and we're going to get it. But the only thing is Mahomes going to play? He's questionable right now with concussion. Of course, left that matchup last week versus the Cleveland Browns, so we'll see what happens. If I had to bet money, I'm going to go ahead and say Patrick Mahomes does play and suit up this weekend for the Chiefs. If he does not, Chad Henne, he came in last week, did some nice things, but if he does not play, I like the Buffalo Bills to advance to their first Super Bowl since, I think, 93, something like that. I think Bills, if the Bills can match up versus Patrick Mahomes and beat him anyways, that they would like to do that, but they're still going to take it if Mahomes isn't on the field and they beat the Chiefs. I'm telling you, the Bills will still take that. Mahomes is questionable play. I think he does play. This Kansas City defense is the matchup for me. Kansas City defense versus this Buffalo Bills offense. Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, John Brown, Dalton Knox, Singletary running the ball. The Kansas City defense has played very well so far in the playoffs. They've played really well the last 10 weeks or so. So I think that this matchup really comes down to, hey, does Mahomes play? If Mahomes plays, I like the Chiefs. If the Chiefs are without Mahomes, I like the Buffalo Bills to advance to the Super Bowl. So it really just depends on that. If Mahomes plays, I'm going 27-24 Chiefs. If Mahomes is out, I'm going 31-21 Buffalo Bills. So that's kind of how I see it going. I think it's going to be Kansas City versus Kansas City Chiefs defense versus Buffalo Bills offense. I think that's going to be the key to watch. But also watch Kansas City when they have the ball versus Buffalo Bills defense, who's quietly having a really good season, of course, led by Tre'Davious White, Ed Oliver, Terrell Edmonds. They have some really nice pieces on that defense. And they've also built, the last 3 or 4 years, this is a nice team. Sean McDermott and the GM of this team has done a nice job. Buffalo Bills are here to stay. I definitely like Green Bay, Jamie, in the game versus the Buccaneers, and I like the Chiefs versus the Bills if Mahomes plays. Mahomes does not play. I like the Buffalo Bills. So we'll see what happens. I'll give you all my against the spread pick. I know I already gave you kind of the prediction for the game, but I'll give my against the spread pick last week. Of course, I was 4-0, improving to 51-47-1 on the season. So great championship weekend. I think the game started at 3 and 6:40 this weekend, so we'll see what happens. But we'll move on to some teams, guys, who are out of the playoffs, did not make the playoffs this year. The Atlanta Falcons, of course, are kind of trending in a new direction with the hiring of Terry Fontenot, the director of pro scouting for the Saints the last 6 years. Also was with the team, worked his way up the last 17, 18 years with the Saints, was a 22-year-old intern who played at Tulane. So this is a guy who is from Louisiana, Lake Charles, Louisiana. Played at Tulane, was a 4-year letter winner for Tulane, then got into the football aspect right after his playing career. Mickey Loomis, gave him an opportunity, and he kind of rose with it. When he talks, people listen, and I like what he's done. If he had a big say in what the New Orleans Saints have done in the draft the last 4 years. I mean, these guys have drafted Alvin Kamara. They've drafted Pete. They've drafted Marshawn Lattimore. They've drafted Williams at safety. They've drafted a lot of teams. They brought in Demario Davis in free agency. So the New Orleans Saints have drafted very, very well over the last couple of years. The Atlanta Falcons historically have not drafted very well the last few seasons. So we'll see what happens. I think the best player available in a quarterback-hungry draft, I think that if the Atlanta Falcons, Jamie, you're asking me, do they trade back? I think if they can somehow stay in the top 10, I would definitely look to trade back. Look at possible the Broncos there at 9. There's some other teams right around that 9 to 12 range where I wouldn't mind kind of staying in. The San Francisco 49ers, I think, are at the 12th pick. So if you can trade back and gain maybe an additional first rounder or a possible second rounder, maybe a third rounder, I definitely understand trading back, but only if you can still get your guy at 9. Looks like, drafting Patrick Surtain at 4 may be a little bit too high in this draft with a lot of teams needing quarterbacks. Also, Micah Parsons, drafting him at number 4. Those are the two guys that I'm keying on for the Atlanta Falcons. Both those guys may be picking at 4 be a little bit too high, but maybe if we can get them at 8, 9, 10, that would make more sense. Maybe get some draft capital later on and have a nice first draft with Terry Fontenot and, of course, Arthur Smith leading the way. So Terry, guys, he's 18 years with the Saints. Like I said, he was a marketing intern to a front office executive. He's done a really, really nice job for the New Orleans Saints, and he's elevated from pro scouting department, and he's done a nice job. And it's nice to steal him from the New Orleans Saints, who are a big rival. So we get him out of their office now into the Atlanta Falcons office, and we bring Arthur Smith, the head coach, with him. So he's going to be the head coach. He's been the offensive coordinator of the Tennessee Titans the last 2 years. He likes to run that stretch zone system scheme similar to what Kyle Shanahan ran when he was with Atlanta. Likes a lot of pre-snap motion, a lot of eyes on certain players moving across the formation and things like that. Gets people kind of out of position. And that's what Arthur Smith is going to do. He's going to run the football. He's going to hit you with some play action. He's going to hit you in the flats and things like that, similar to how Sean McVay and Matt LaFleur and these great offensive minds in the NFL do. He's going to make it look like it's the same play every single time, and then he's going to hit you with something different, reverses, screens, zone scheme. So I really like the Arthur Smith hire. He's the hot name on the market right now. Only 38 years old, played football at North Carolina. And his dad, I mean, this is a weird, interesting stat. I did not know. Arthur Smith's dad is the founder of FedEx. So he is worth $5.3 billion, which is insane because he's worth just a little bit more money than Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons, who, of course, founded Home Depot. So, that's kind of a weird little connection. Arthur Smith, I think maybe his dad being the founder of FedEx maybe got him into the NFL, got his foot in, but he's done the work the last 8 years with the Tennessee Titans. He's coached in college. He was a tight ends coach, assistant tight ends coach, an offensive coordinator. I mean, this guy's worked his way up as a defensive analyst as well. So I really like these two hires made by Arthur Blank. They're going to answer to kind of Rich McKay is going to be their boss. So they'll answer to Rich McKay when it comes to that. So I want to talk about some other jobs that were filled, guys. The New York Jets hired Robert Saleh, former defensive coordinator from the San Francisco 49ers. So the Jets kind of go in a new direction. The Jaguars, of course, hired Urban Meyer, former Ohio State football coach, who took the last 2 years off. I think it's a good hire with Urban Meyer. A lot of people are kind of saying, hey, Jimmy Johnson, when he went to the Cowboys, when he left Miami to go to the Cowboys, a lot of people are seeing some similarities in this hire. They're going to get the number one pick, probably take Trevor Lawrence. They have $70 million in cap space. They have great position in the draft. So that Jacksonville Jaguars job was attractive. They've also hired Trent Baalke as their GM. And then the Chargers guys get Brandon Staley, the defensive coordinator for the LA Rams. He's now going over to the LA Chargers and will be the head coach with the Chargers. So Anthony Lynn out with the Chargers, Brandon Staley in and bringing in a defensive mind. You have Herbert on that offensive side with Keenan Allen and Hunter Henry and Eckler. So the offense is going to be fine. Brandon Staley going to see what he can do to this defense to improve the defense. And defense has some nice pieces as well. Derwin James, Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram. So this defense is going to be very, very good, especially with Brandon Staley, in charge of things on that defensive front. And three openings that are still available, guys. So these jobs are still available as of right now. And the first job, guys, is the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions, of course, moved on from Matt Patricia, and Dan Campbell, a name is going out. He's been with the New Orleans Saints the last few years as a assistant head coach. I think he's been on the defensive side of the football. Maybe I know he's also a tight end in the league, so he's been a tight end coach as well. So he is the favorite for the job. They're about to hire him, have not hired him. The Lions guys, they're looking for something, and the Denver Broncos are a team to watch out for a couple moves right now. Deshaun Watson, Matt Ryan, and Matt Stafford. So the new GM of the Broncos has came out and said those are the three teams he's going to look for to maybe trade for a quarterback this offseason. So we'll see what happens. Maybe Matt Stafford on the move to Denver. I mean, that would be something else if the Denver Broncos could land Matt Stafford. I do not think Matt Ryan will be on the move. And then also another name and another opening that's open, the Houston Texans job and Deshaun Watson. So this is something interesting right here to watch right now. The Houston Texans, of course, they hire a new GM. They fire their old coach. Deshaun Watson gives them, some names maybe of GMs he liked, and also some head coaching names as well. He's pretty ticked off right now. They did not go the way he wanted to with the GM. Also, did not originally give Eric Bieniemy a interview. They have interviewed him since, so that's something to watch out for. Deshaun Watson, guys, has said he kind of wants to go to the Miami Dolphins, likes the culture that Brian Flores is building down there. Could the Dolphins maybe trade the number 3 pick in Tua for a Deshaun Watson type quarterback? I think it's going to take closer to 2 to 3 first round picks, maybe even more to land him. So we'll see what happens with the Houston Texans job. I think Eric Bieniemy may be a favorite to land that job. And then the Philadelphia Eagles, of course, firing Doug Peterson, who only 3 years ago won a Super Bowl. So it's a what have you done for me lately job in the NFL. And Doug Peterson is fired. Doug Peterson, guys, has been fired from the Philadelphia Eagles after 5 seasons, going 46, 39, and 1 with a Super Bowl victory. They went 4-11 and 1 this year, and then had a really, really weird handling of the quarterback situation in the last game versus the Washington Redskins, when Jalen Hurts had his opportunity to maybe lead the Philadelphia Eagles to a comeback victory. They take him out, put Nate Sudfeld in. He throws a pick, has a fumble. Ends in a weird way. Also, the Carson Wentz relationship was kind of broken as well. So Carson Wentz could return to the Philadelphia Eagles. He'll be making $32 million next year. So we'll see what happens with the Philadelphia Eagles. I know they've interviewed Todd Bowles. I think he's kind of the favorite right now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive coordinator. So the Lions, the Eagles, and the Texans, guys, all jobs that are still available. The Lions look like they're focusing in on Dan Campbell. Eagles kind of focusing in on Todd Bowles, it looks like. In the Texans, I think the name to watch there is Eric Bieniemy. So 3 names to watch there with 3 different positions. But the Atlanta Falcons, the Jets, the Jags, the Chargers have all found their guys. All these teams kind of looking to go in a new direction. So shout out to the Atlanta Falcons for, hopefully hiring the right guys with Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot. So thank you guys so much for coming to the Atlanta Falcons and trying to shift this negative notion that we've had the last few years. Ever since the Super Bowl choke, you have to hold your best players accountable. That's what these guys have said they're going to do. And really excited for the future of the Atlanta Falcons. Of course, they only have 31 players under contract for next year and are $37 million over the cap. So a lot of these guys you've seen the last few years, you will not be seeing in the future. Alex Mack, hopefully he retires and doesn't, we don't have to release him. Hopefully he retires. Some other cuts that you could be looking for: Dante Fowler could be on the chopping block. Ricardo Allen. Keanu Neal is a guy that the Falcons could look to re-sign at safety. Also on the offensive side of the football, you'll have maybe, we'll see if Gurley comes back or not. You could see, you're definitely going to see some cuts coming soon for the Atlanta Falcons. The Ravens, of course, went ahead and made some cuts already, giving these guys an early look at free agency. I wouldn't be shocked if the Atlanta Falcons did something similar to that in the next few coming weeks as well. So also, guys, some big news coming out of LA and Indianapolis markets today. Philip Rivers has decided to call it quits after a 17-year career. This is a guy who threw for a lot of passing yards. This is a guy who made 252 career starts. Never really missed a start for injury. Did tear his ACL in the AFC Championship and played with a torn ACL. That's kind of how I'll remember Philip Rivers, a guy who went out there, talked a lot of crap, but then backed it up. A guy who is going to coach football down in Alabama now. So he's going to be a head coach of a high school football team. So he has 9 kids as well, made a lot of money in the National Football League, but now he's going to move on to bigger and better things. And, it's awesome that he's going to stick around and coach high school football. His dad, of course, was a high school football coach. So Philip Rivers, hanging up the cleats, had a wonderful career for the San Diego Chargers and this 1 year with the Indianapolis Colts. So now with Drew Brees most likely set to retire, you'll have the New Orleans job, quarterback job that's opening up. You'll have the Indianapolis Colts job who's opening up. So a lot of teams are going to be quarterback needy up in the first top 10 picks of the draft. So the Atlanta Falcons really could make a move as long as they, I want to stay in the top 12. So as long as they can, move out and get some picks and some draft capital and stay in that top 10 to 12, I'd be pretty excited for the Atlanta Falcons. And then maybe you can get your guy there. So shout out to Philip Rivers. Shout out to Drew Brees, guys. Two guys who went out there every single Sunday, and they were going to give it your all. So Ben Roethlisberger could be making another announcement. So that whole 04 draft class of quarterbacks could be retired now. So I think Brady is going to stick around for maybe another few years. Looks like Aaron Rodgers isn't, going anywhere anytime soon. So still have a couple of those older guys still at the helms, but a new era of quarterbacks coming into the NFL. That's for sure. So I want to talk a little bit about the SEC guys. The University of Tennessee guys has fired Jeremy Pruitt with cause, so they do not have to pay him the money they owe him. Kevin Steele, guys, has been named the interim head coach. Of course, the former defensive coordinator at Auburn is going to be the head guy now. Looks like Steele could be the interim coach in 2021, and then they focus on bringing a new coach in 2022. That's what I would look for. Just basically in the internal findings with Tennessee, it looks like they kind of got sloppy on the recruiting trail. There's been rumors and a story that McDonald's bags full of money were given to recruits who visited the campus, and they really weren't trying to hide it. They kind of had it out in the open. So they move on from Jeremy Pruitt, who, of course, did not have a great tenure as the Tennessee head coach. Did not have a very good season this year. I think it will definitely impact recruiting. You've already seen 2 or 3 Vols recruits kind of decommit right now and say that they're keeping Tennessee in consideration, but normally when that happens, these guys will not be signing with Tennessee. So big cluster going on down in Knoxville right now. So we'll see what happens. But Jeremy Pruitt, man, you got to be more careful, especially if you're not cheating, you ain't trying. That's the old saying. But at the end of the day, you got to have the best players on your campus to be able to compete for national championships. And if you're not able to bring them in just from your word and your recruiting and things like that, hey, you got to find other ways to do it. Looks like Tennessee went that route and it did not work. So we'll see what happens. Kevin Steele, the interim head coach now of the Tennessee Volunteers, so we'll see what he does in 2021. Alabama, guys, has also hired Bill O'Brien as the offensive coordinator. So one former head coach of the Houston Texans now is going to be the offensive coordinator for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And then also offensive line coach Doug Marrone has been hired with the University of Alabama. So Doug Marrone, who was with the Jacksonville Jaguars, Bill O'Brien, who was with the Houston Texans, their staff gets that much better, even though Nick Saban's losing some of these coaches to Texas and some other schools and things like that. Steve Sarkisian's taken a few of Nick Saban's assistants with him to Texas. He's going to hire top-notch names who were just in the NFL just a few months ago. So Alabama hires Bill O'Brien and Doug Marrone to put on the staff with what they already have going. Of course, Alabama's going to be kind of reloading next year with this talent. Bryce Young will be a quarterback, so Bill O'Brien and him will probably have a pretty good relationship moving forward. So, guys, if you're having trouble in the NFL, you can't find a job, just go down to Alabama. Nick Saban will hire you. Build your rep back up and get you some more money elsewhere. That's just what he seems to do. That's what he has seemed to do the last few years, and every time he replaces one coach, he replaces him with another higher name profile guy. So Nick Saban always going to be getting it done. Shout out to him. And shout out to the Senior Bowl that's going to be happening down in Mobile. The players report in 3 weeks. Jim Nagy does such a nice job with the Senior Bowl, getting these seniors exposure. Guys from small schools, big schools, all that. And shout out to that. It'll be in Mobile, Alabama. That'll be next week. They'll be practicing, and then next weekend they'll have the Senior Bowl game. So, all right, guys. So I want to talk a little bit about my picks. My picks last week, and then also I'll give you my picks for this week before we go ahead and get out of here, guys. It's been a great show. Thank you so much for following Kicking It with Crowder. Of course, you can like Kicking It with Crowder on Facebook, YouTube. I'm on Twitter, Spotify, Apple, the whole 9 yards. So basically anywhere where you get your podcast, guys, you can find my stuff. Last week, guys, I had the Bills at the Ravens -2.5. I took the Bills in that one. Of course, the Bills cover handily with a pick six late in the fourth quarter, and they end up winning that ball game pretty soundly. I had the Browns +10 over the Chiefs. They end up losing by 5, so I won that game 22-17 Chiefs. Did have the Chiefs in the game, but Browns with the spread, so I laid the +10 in that one and won that. Also, I had the Packers big over the Rams, -6.5. Of course, they take care of business and win, I think, 32-18 over the Los Angeles Rams. And then the Bucks at Saints. A lot of people call me crazy for going with Tampa Bay over the Saints, guys, but I did take Tampa Bay +3 last week over the Saints. They, of course, win the game outright. So 4-0 last week, bringing my total to 51-47-2, guys. So I'll be picking the AFC matchup, I'll be picking the NFC matchup, and I'll be picking the Super Bowl game. So if I can win all 3 of those games, guys, I'll finish 7 games above 500 this year in football, just like I did last year. I was 46-39-2 last year, so finished 7 games above 500 last year as well. So this is a game that I'm going to be monitoring this. You know, like I said, if Patrick Mahomes plays, I like the Chiefs -2.5 over the Bills. If Patrick Mahomes does not play, I will be betting on the Buffalo Bills. I'm sure the line will move closer to even if Mahomes does not play. So like I said, I like the Chiefs if Mahomes plays -2.5. If he does not play, I like the Bills +2.5. So I'll be posting this on my Twitter, Saturday, Sunday, whenever I hear about Mahomes, I'll be posting this. But right now, as it stands right now, guys, I'll roll with the Kansas City Chiefs. I picked them to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the season, picked them to repeat. I'm still alive with that pick. Of course, guys, I also picked the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Alabama Crimson Tide. So trying to make it 3 picks in a row before the season starts with the Chiefs -2.5 over the Bills. In the NFC, guys, the Packers right now at a -2.5, -3, depending on where you get them at. I just like this Packers team, what they've been able to do this year. Their defense is very comparable to the offense. Aaron Rodgers is just playing at an elite level, most likely the MVP this year. Going against a Bucs team who really hasn't even been playing their best football of late. They beat Washington by 8 2 weeks ago. They beat the Saints by 10. Some late fourth quarter interceptions helped out with that matchup, but I just can't really go against Aaron Rodgers. He's a bad man, and I really like Aaron Rodgers and the Packers in this matchup. Matt LaFleur calling a game against the Buccaneers defense who beat them early on in the season 38-10. So I really like this Packers matchup versus, like I said, it's going to be the Packers offensive line versus that front 7 of Tampa Bay. If they're able to keep Sue and Barrett and Devin White and Levante David under wraps, I think that the Packers will control this game and win. I have this game 31-23 Packers, so I'm going Packers -2.5 over the Bucks. So in my AFC matchup, guys, I have the Chiefs -2.5 over the Bills, and in my NFC matchup, I'm going Packers -2.5 over the Buccaneers. So those are my 2 matchups this weekend. I'm going, hopefully I can improve to 2-0 on the week and 53-47-2, but right now, as it sits, I'm 51-47-2, guys. So I'm really, really excited for these matchups this weekend. There's going to be a lot to watch out for. Of course, with this matchup, the winners will advance. I'm going with the top 2 seeds in each matchup. I'm going Chiefs versus Packers in the Super Bowl. Of course, I'll give you my pick for that matchup if it does happen. I think the NFL would greatly, greatly appreciate if they could get Mahomes versus Rodgers in the Super Bowl, that State Farm matchup. I feel like that would be, great for ratings, and that would just be a heck of a game. The best 2 teams from the entire season, matching up in the Super Bowl. Hopefully, COVID and everything, there will be, hopefully all the players will be able to play in this game. There won't be, a Rodgers sitting out or Mahomes sitting out. I mean, that would just be awful to see happen. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm going Packers over the Bucks, Chiefs over the Bills, as long as Mahomes plays. But guys, thank y'all so much for joining me tonight. Didn't have too many people in the live, but guys, we'll share this out. We'll edit it out. We'll get it out there on Apple. We'll get it on Spotify and all those other platforms, guys. But thank y'all so much for joining me tonight. I gave y'all my picks for this weekend. We went ahead and talked about the NFL openings with the Atlanta Falcons and the hirings they made and the rest of the openings that are going on. We talked about what's going on in Tennessee. So, hey, if there's anything else you guys want to talk about, hit me down below on the comment. And, guys, don't forget to like, don't Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to share this out there, and we'll go ahead and get this good content out in the world. All right, guys. So, hey, thank y'all so much for joining me on episode 19 of Kicking It with Crowder. Until next week, let's go. I'm out.